All right, what's up, everyone? Today is 9/23/2024, right? And I wanted to really use this YouTube live platform a little bit more, right? And to really use it as a place where we could all get together and discuss some of the trades we took, some of the things we were looking at today during today's price action, right? And how yesterday's breakdown, right? How we hopped on live yesterday and we started to dive into the bullish and bearish scenarios, right? Which critical levels we were watching, right? And just kind of want to break down what we were looking at today and, what trades we took, um, what caused us to actually get in the market, right? We took 2 trades today. What caused us to be patient, how we identified chop, etc., right? On Discord. So going into today, right, we had a very simple pre-market plan on the Discord, right? And our goal was to use on SPY, we were going to use end of day and we were going to use previous day high, right? Our 2 pit numbers. We were going to look for either buying acceptance or selling pressure at these levels. And anything below end of day, I was going to get bearish in the morning, right? And then pretty much anything above end of day, I was going to lean more towards the bull side, right? Playing with the overall larger conditions, right? Playing with that bullish scenario that we seen last week, right? The rip above all-time high, the retest of 56516, right? So that was our pre-market plan, right? And we were going to use the 50 EMA to really guide us, right? And I'm going to show you right here how we really do that, right? And how I use the 1 hour to do that as well, right? Because there's a lot of times, right, where we want to jump into a trade, we want to make a move, and sometimes we get that tunnel vision and it's kind of hard for us to be on the right side of the market. So I'll use that 1 hour time frame and kind of gauge, right, the overall market conditions using that 50 EMA, right? I also use the 9D EMA, which is that blue line, and then the EMA clouds, right? So going into today, right, I want to show you, we traded SPX. And I want to show you the first trade that we took. I'm going to pull up the SPX chart, but I'm going to keep the SPY chart up as well, right? So open print, right? So pretty much we identify end of day, previous day low, previous day high, right? So we have PDH as our upside target on SPX, and we have open print that's established, right? So open print's established, and now this is where it's very important for you to remain patient until market structure settles in. Right now, I used to struggle with patience a lot. Right, patience was definitely one of my main issues. I was extremely impulsive. Right, I was such an impulsive trader. Right, I would come up with these trade plans, and then once that 9:30 bell went off, it was like I was just shooting crazy trades. And then I would go back and kind of be frustrated with myself. So what I want to show you though is how SPX is open print, right? So I have the 2 minute up on SPX, and you're going to see open print. We're not getting any real clear direction, and I'm using both SPX and SPY when I'm watching price action. It's a little different, right? Yeah, open print's going to look different sometimes, but if you could get to the point where you could watch both, you're going to benefit from that, right? So basically, I'm watching price open up. Notice the price action we're getting off the 50, right? It's getting really choppy. Remember, I don't want to short the market in the morning until I'm below end of day. And I don't want to necessarily long the market until I identify acceptance at previous day high, which lined up directly with open print, right? So that was definitely a very important factor for the long play that we took. So at this point, right? So let me whip up SPY over here, and I'm going to throw up the 1 hour. Because remember, we're going to use that 1 hour to properly gauge, who's in control. We have pre-market high up here at 570. right? We have open print right here at 56935. Hold on one second, guys. All right, back. So basically, I'm watching these buyers kind of show up and soak up the selling down here at end of day, right? Buyers are showing up. It's getting really wicky down here, right? So once again, when you're using that 50-50 perspective, right, you're able to kind of go, hey, listen, if sellers take control here, I'll go short. But if they don't, what's that telling me? And notice here how price is reacting to the 50 EMA. All in pre-market. We're coming into it. We're bouncing. We're bouncing. We're bouncing. The EMA cloud is green, right? These are bullish indications. This doesn't necessarily mean buyers are going to take the day, but at the same time, I'm going to refrain from a short play. I'm going to stay patient. So now I'm watching price action. It's doing its thing. We come down below the 50, and then we get this large green candle in the previous day high, right? And now this is where patience is paramount. It's so important, right? Because when you see this green candle, you could either do what I used to do and just, oh man, I'm going to miss the move. I got to get in the market, right? We have all these upside targets. Um, no, this is where you got to be patient. And now this is where SPX really helped me today because as price opened up, we're battling with that 50. We get this large green candle. Now we're closing above the 50. We're closing above the candle before it, right? Things are starting to get more bullish. But until I get that acceptance off open print, until I really get that nice move, I'm not going to do anything, right? So price bounces up, starts to battle around. We start to get the move up, but just the market structure is not there for me, right? So I have to be patient. And then price comes down and tags open print right here at this 1014 candle, right? So now when price comes down to open print here, there's two things that can happen. Sellers can push price below open print, and then we'll proceed a move down to end of day. And then once we've broken that 50 EMA, now things are starting to turn more bearish, right? But that hasn't happened yet, right? So instead, we're remaining patient and we're going to see how price reacts to this level. And this is why I love open print so much, right? Because it gives me the awareness to stay patient. It helps me be like, all right, listen, until I get some sort of market structure off this level, until I see either buyers or sellers lose this level or take control of this level, I'm going to be sitting on my hands. And while I'm sitting on my hands, what I'm not doing, right, or what I'm doing, I'm not taking irrational setups, right? Like if you guys look at your results, if you look at your profits, you look at how much you're losing, how much you're making, right, you're going to notice most of your losing trades is a product of being irrational, making bad moves, right? So hold on one second, guys. Right. So when you're looking at your losing trades, you have to ask yourself, right, what do all these have in common? Right? And 9 times out of 10, at least for me, they were irrational. They weren't, systematic, right? There wasn't any criteria. It was like this trade right here on the left where it's just, oh, green candle, I don't want to miss it. Let me get in. Right? So open print, the critical levels, the pit numbers, they help me stay way more patient because it really doesn't make sense until I get the market structure. I mean, it's crazy. Look, Monday morning, we ended up getting a beautiful retest off open print, right? Once this green candle wiped out the previous high of this candle, I'm then in the market long and my stop loss is below open print, right? Because I want to trade I want to trade off a level close enough to a level, right? We're about $4 away from my stop on SPX. That's about 45 cents on SPY. I'm okay with a 45 cent um pullback or drawdown or risk or whatever you want to call it, right? So then we get that really nice move up, our stops in place, and initially, I'm looking for a move on SPX up to 57333, right? So, and this is where watching both commodities is going to serve you, right? Because when the market looks like this, you're starting to get that large move here above previous day high. We're above previous end of day, right? That's very bullish. So now it's like, okay, I'm looking to play all the way up into all time high. But at the same time, you have to be able to be aware of what the market's not going to do exactly what you want. You have to be like, okay, as we rip into pre-market high, I have to watch and see how price reacts, right? So you constantly got to be adapting, right? You got to be in that state of mind, right? You got to be able to adapt to all scenarios. And this ended up being around 28% return. So I ended up scaling out up here, and then price came down and got knocked out of my trade on this candle, right? Very systematic. It was a really good trade. I felt really good about it. And more importantly, I felt like I executed what I believe to be my best strategy flawlessly, right? Now, that's all we could do, right? We could go back over this 100 times, like, oh, Josh, you should have took all the profits, at pre-market high. Well, this is the thing. There's no correct answer to profit taking, right? Every trader goes through different scenarios, right? Every trader is battling with different problems, right? Some are battling with consistency, some are battling with over trading, some are battling with, fear of missing out, right? Like we all go through massive different issues, right? So based on what you're going through, you need to adjust your trade plan, right? So right now, what I'm working on is becoming extremely systematic. I want to use the same system. I want to trade off my critical level. I want to trade off my market structure, and I want to trade with my moving averages, and I want to take profit with that same criteria, right? That's just where I'm at. Um, so that's how I wanted to trade. So then price ended up coming back up into this 570 level. We got a lot of selling, and the market was pretty much chop. I mean, it was really just slow. It was back and forth. You could see we were bouncing off the 50, but there was really no clear, no one was taking real clear direction on the market until, right? Check it out. Price is coming up. We're rejecting 570. We cannot make a new high, right? And then we close below the 50, right? See, this is why I love the 50 EMA so much, especially on the 5 minute, right? We close below the 50, and now hold on. All right. So, okay, so we close below the 50 here on the chart on the right, on the 5 minute. This is our go-to setup over here at HBT, right? Like on the Discord, this is my bread and butter, right? Where we're rejecting a supply zone. We've now closed below the 50, and we have a critical level below the target, right? This is very highly probable, right? And basically, what we're doing here is we're using the moving averages, right? We're using the critical level, right? Because look, once we closed below previous day high, we came back up and we retested the 50. Now, this is on the 5 minute or 15 minute. If I whip out the 5 minute, it's the same exact thing, right? We close below the 50 here. And this setup takes a ton of discipline. And I'm going to tell you why right now. See, there's a lot of traders out there, right? When we break the 50, they enter short. That's one way to do it. But this the thing, when you trade that way, it's very hard to manage risk, right? So risk management is key. It is crucial. I don't care. You could have the worst, quote, worst strategy in the world. If you can manage risk properly, you're going to do really well, right? You're going to at least be able to swim without drowning, right? You have to be able to manage risk. So I used to take trades like this, and then I realized if I'm going to short this, 9 times out of 10, you get the pullback into the EMA cloud. You get the pullback into the 9D EMA moving average, right? You get the pullback into the critical level. So there's no point in chasing if 9 times out of 10 you're going to get that pullback. And this is why it's so important to approach the market with that probabilistic mentality, meaning I it doesn't matter what I think's going to happen. I'm going to make my decisions based off what happens most often, right? If I sit back and make a decision out of emotion, right, and go, oh, we're closed below the 50, I have to enter short, I would have gotten smoked here, I'd have gotten smoked here, I'd have gotten smoked here, and then on this trade, I'd still gotten smoked because the pullback, right? So instead of making decisions based off emotion, if we could get to the point where we make decisions based off what happens most often, we're going to see a lot better results. And not only that, it's going to alleviate a lot of the anxiety that goes into trading, right? Because anxiety comes from uncertainty, right? So yeah, we'll never be able to take guaranteed setups, but at the same time, if we're making decisions based off what happens most often, it's going to be a lot easier to remain patient. It's going to be a lot easier to not be impulsive, right? And that's going to help us get to become more systematic traders, right? Which serves you down the road when you then increase size, etc. Right? So price sold off really strong and then comes up and then we retest the EMA cloud, right? So let's whip out the 2 minute, right? So we had the 5 minute up, we had the 2 minute up. The 2 minute kind of highlights where exactly I got in the market a little bit better. So we rip up into this purple line right here, and we get a seller, right? So once we get a seller here, now it's obviously I want to see a retest up here at previous day high or open print. That'd be great. But that's not always how it works, right? So I use the high of a candle to identify resistance, right? So now we get a little resistance here. We got a little seller. Okay, cool. Price comes back up into this level. We start to we can't close above this 56922 level. Okay, very cool. So now we break through, and then on this candle right here, right? Which one is it? This guy. We close below this green candle, right? And I don't know, maybe this isn't the best entry, maybe it was. It really doesn't matter. At this point, I was able to manage risk all the way up to open print, and I was also able to be able to enter the trade going, okay, sellers were strong enough to wipe out the buyers from this candle, right? I hope this makes sense. It's very important because a lot of traders get entries mistaken, right? It's not your job or your goal to identify the best entry or perfect entry. It's my job, it's my goal to identify an entry that I can manage risk off of and still be able to play the story, right? Because basically what I'm getting at is I want to be able to get in the market short and be able to account for a stop loss all the way up to that 50 EMA, all the way up to open print, right? I want to be able to let this trade breathe. And look at that was literally in the Discord. I literally wrote my stop loss is at 56925. That's all I really wanted to risk. I got in this around like 568 73, right? I didn't really want to risk more than 50 cents. Um and I was about 2 pennies away from getting stomped out, about $20 on my contracts on SBX. And it is what it is. It's just full acceptance mode. And then we started to get that nice sell off down to end of day, where we then took profit down here and captured a really nice move. Very highly probable. Right. So, like, but before we wrap up here, right, because I just wanted to break down our two trades for today, that is how I focus on my entries. That's how I like to do it, right? I really want to see price come up into the critical level, the cloud, the 50 EMA, right? And that's literally what we got. And once again, guys, the more patient you are, right, or the more aware you are of what works, the easier it is to become more patient, become more disciplined, and build that system, right? So price sold off. We ripped right back into that EMA cloud, formed that little resistance, took the market short into end of day, right? Where obviously buyers continuously showed up. Um, but I felt really good about the trade. And then I literally wrote the rest of the day off. And looking back, I'm very thankful because the price action just wasn't there. Right. And this happens, right? Sometimes, especially after very volatile weeks previously, right? We had the interest rates, we had Powell speaking, all that good stuff last week and this week. So I would definitely still expect some more chop, right? But guys, listen, chop can't do anything to you if you remain patient and you know what to look for and you focus on your execution. Right. So, guys, this was a great trade recap. I appreciate everybody that showed up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Probably going to do another one tomorrow. I'm going to try to do a lot more of these just to help everybody and to, just start building a little more, understanding here on what my entries look like on a daily basis, what my look like, what was going through my mind, etc. Right. So, guys, I love you all. Have a phenomenal day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.